welcome to another exciting episode of the $1 Million Peddlers. I'm Paperboy.
And I'm Mr. Magazine.
Today we're going to talk about something that I'm not good at whatsoever.
Being quiet?
And you better hope that I never get good at that. And something that
I'll be out of a job.
something you've gotten better at throughout the years. And I'm going to pick your brain here on how you do it, because I have a serious problem doing this. And that's throwing things out.
Ooh, that's a tough one to get into, yeah. It all depends on, time and situation, really. And I never used to do it because I always thought something has a price on it, which it does.
It does,
then
yes.
When you got the warehouse and the employees and you're weighing up the money for the warehouse and the taxes and all that jazz, well, sometimes warehouse space is more valuable than inventory if the inventory is never going to get listed. So, the last couple of years there's been times where I'm like, we're never going to get to this, just throw it out. And it could be magazines, it could be toys, it could just junky stuff that I probably paid little or nothing for, just part of deals. And then giving it away takes time. I'm going to store it, wait for someone to come by, and do they even want it? So a lot of times,
or there are times where people look gift horses in the mouth,
yeah,
and they try to cherry pick it, and you're like,
right.
no, you don't understand. I'm having you come
it's all
by.
going, you want it all fine. That's it. Yeah.
You're taking all 10 boxes. You're not taking 4 boxes that you want.
Yeah, and we did spring cleaning 2 summers ago where I actually rented a dumpster. We threw a bunch of crap out, but it was like, we don't need 7 desk chairs or computer chairs, or we don't need these old tables and stuff. So we threw out a lot of that stuff. But now we're at the point where when that deal came in from Georgia, 3 18-wheelers, well, that's money, and I'm paying money for it. Now I got to put it somewhere where there's stuff that we're never going to get to that's less valuable. So I did throw out some books and magazines at that point. Obviously, it's nothing I don't think you would want or anyone else would want. Maybe for free, but then again, it's time to calling people, emailing people, hey, do you want this? Then they're going to come down, look at it. Yes, no, they may take half of it. So I'm like, you know what? It's getting thrown out. No one's going to see it. It's gone. We got the room. Let's move on to the next project.
How do you flip that switch in your head?
When you're desperate. I try to hold on to everything as long as I can. For example, we do have a full-size batting cage at my warehouse.
Yes.
And I think we did a video
you've seen in the videos, yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And my employees a couple employees over the last few years, like, you got to get rid of it. We need the room. It's like, well, I paid money for the cage. My kid's using the cage. We have plenty of room. Let's use the room we have some way, somehow. Then when we get to that point, I have no problem letting it go, closing it down, and putting it. But, I've been able to stretch it out for 2 years where they wanted to get rid of it 2 years ago. But now I see, after this baseball season, that'll be the end of it. We will need to get rid of it, and I told my son that. But it's one of those things where you keep it as long as you can keep it, and then when you're desperate, just like for the Georgia deal, I was desperate. The deal was coming at a certain date. I had to get stuff out of there. I had to make room. So, we sold a lot of the container to one person in Pennsylvania, but then there was other pods where we needed room as well. I threw out a bunch of stuff. I just had to get rid of it, So, when you're desperate, you're at the end of the line where there's no other option. Time's of the essence, space of the essence. You just got to make that choice.
And I'm in the position where I'll get a magazine and I'll look through it and it's incomplete, but it's got ads in it.
Oh, yeah.
And I'll be like, I know these ads have value to somebody. What's it going to hurt to save it and throw it on a pile? And at some point, I'll find somebody that is looking to buy the ads.
Yeah.
And guess what? I've got a whole bunch of magazines that I can't sell because they're incomplete.
Right.
But if they want to take the time to pick them apart,
yeah.
So I guess the way I'm looking at it is, and again, let's just say that I get $1 a magazine out of it. If I've got a stack of 25 of them, that's $25 cash.
Yeah, I got the same problem with adult magazines with no covers or the tops cut off. We've had boxes and boxes of them. I'm like, oh, don't throw them away. We'll save them. They do sell. We've put some on before and sold them. But here's the problem. 3 years ago, I saved them. We still have them 3 years later. I've done nothing with them. Since then, our inventory's 10 times what it was. So when is that $10 mag? Say we can get $10 for a coverless mag. That's great. But when are we going to get to that point where we have no other better magazines to sell, and all we have left are 5 or 6 boxes of coverless adult magazines? So I threw them out. What are you going to do?
Well, and that kind of explains why a random neighborhood kid was hanging around your dumpster.
Exactly.
But
I thought it was for the leftover pizza crust, but who knows? Could have been both. Twofer.
One thing that I know you've pawned off on me many, many times over the years that I just have never thrown out, but I don't know when I'm ever going to list them, are coverless comic books.
Yeah.
Because I have to have 650 coverless comic books, maybe 800 coverless comic books.
Yeah.
The problem is they cannot go media mail. Right. If they could go media mail, I would list them a lot quicker, because I would sit there and I'd break them up into Marvel and DC and others, and then be like, oh, hey, 300, reading copies of Funny Animal comics, and I probably would pick up $100 for them or $75 for them or something other like that, and then you can media mail them out, and that's fine.
Yeah.
Having to ship them out priority, who is going to buy a pile of comics with a Daisy and Donald number 52 in it?
Right.
When with the cover, it's only worth a couple of dollars.
Yeah. Well, I think you got to be like me, and I was just saving Batman, Spider-Man, Star Wars coverless, which is still probably half a long box. And I'm sure I have all the originals of them anyways, but we're sick-minded. But it's one of those things, just lot them out. Long box, and if you get $50, who cares? It's found money. It's better than throwing out, if you're going to do that, though. But, don't spend 2 hours listing it either, because now you're taking away from better quality listings as well.
Yeah.
But if it's that point, donate them, throw them out. Sometimes you got to keep the Golden Age or Silver Age ones, maybe, superheroes. And then the cartoon ones, throw them out. Got to make that decision at some point.
I'm still finding little nooks and crannies where I can put stuff at, so I haven't quite gotten to that place yet.
I think what happens, every big deal you get moving forward, that's when it's got to start thinking like, geez, this is really good stuff. The stuff that was really good stuff is almost really good stuff, and down the line to, what am I doing with these coverless comics? Just bring them to the shop and turn the other way, and we got that dumpster there. We'll just fill it in. Put them in the laundromat. They're free reading for customers.
I'm holding out hope the random neighborhood kid will pick one up one day and learn how to read. Gotta hope.
Nice, yeah.
Nice. But that is a difficult thing, I think, that all of us have when you're in it, because again, we're so used to finding the value in things that other people pass by, and there is value in it. I mean, the coverless comics do have value. The magazines, missing pages, do have value. And when we sit there and we watch videos from other people, and legitimate videos, Jiminy Flippin, I know, has videos all about selling advertisements, and he talks about selling them, and I've watched him sell stuff on Whatnot before, and if he's picking up $10 for 10 ads, then you're sitting there looking at yourself going, geez, all I got to do is grab this magazine and cut 10 ads out of it that are all car magazines,
exactly,
car ads, and I've got $10.
Yeah.
And the magazine itself isn't worth anything without the cover, or without missing the pages.
Right, but look at all the time doing that. Like when Dawn calls up, she wants Life magazines. It's quick, $2-3 an issue. There's no hesitation. Box them up, ship them out, boom. Well, now if I want to keep them and get greedy, I tear out the issue. Make sure it's nice and straight, razor. I mean, sure it takes longer than to just tear it. 10 times you got to do that. Now you got to throw out the remnants, and then. Now what? Now you got to list them. You got to put them in bags and boards, whatever. It's a lot of time where you're taking yourself away from $50 magazines, $40 books. So I don't think we should be in that position to get to that point unless like.
Well, we're not specializing.
Right.
In it.
If I had 22 employees instead of 15, one could be a specialist on. Hey, these are all crappy magazines, but guess what? They had sell, tear them out. You list them all, $10.99 each, whatever. I'll make money at some point. But again, we're not at that point. We got the employees we have. We got to give them the best stuff possible that they can list.
Yeah, it's a tough switch to flip. It really is, because again, it just by virtue of what we do, we preserve history, and it's hard to make that final call that this isn't getting preserved anymore. This has no historical value to speak of, But sometimes they just don't. I mean,
we get attached to our inventory too. It's almost like pulling the plug on a loved one that the doctor's saying, "Hey, there's no brain activity." It's a tough decision, but you got to make that decision. And those magazines are our family. We bought them, but now it might be time to pull the plug.
And on that upbeat note, do hit the like button, and we will see you next video.
Take care. Bye bye.